I want to take us into another topic, guys, concerning another quarterback, and that would be the quarterback that is in Philadelphia right now, and Carson Wentz. We trust, or should I say, trust Ed, past tense. They're looking to seek a trade, and from all reports given, it seems as though Carson Wentz does not want to go to Chicago and would rather be united with his old offensive coordinator in Indianapolis with the Colts. They had a great season last year. Their defense is really strong. The offense is pretty good. They got some good, strong receivers on the outside, T.Y. Hilton, a couple other young talents. You got a young talent in the backfield. Taylor came on this year at the running backs position. It just seems like a great situation for Carson Wentz if he were able to make it to the Colts. Does he have any leverage here to get there, and is that the best fit?
His leverage is privately saying he doesn't want to go to Chicago. That's the leverage he has, and of course it's the best fit, and it's the best fit for football reasons and non-football reasons. Football reasons, first and foremost, is what you said. They have a really good defense, but what they have and what he really needs, they have a really good young offensive line. Left tackle retired. I'm sure they'll probably draft a left tackle in the first round, and voila, there you go. Offensive line is back where it was, and so he has it. Now you look at Chicago. If I'm Carson Wentz, do I want to go to Chicago? If the Bears do not win, GM Ryan Pace, head coach Matt Nagy, they're probably going to be fired. And so does he want to go into that situation knowing it's the same thing in Philly? If I don't win, they're going to be on my head. The fans in the city of Chicago, he just experienced that in Philly. Whereas he can go to Indy with Frank Wright. It is not going to be the type of media he was used to in Philadelphia. I mean, there's just so many different dynamics on and off the field that I believe he would prefer Indy. And he had his best success with Frank Wright, who is now the Indianapolis Colts head coach. And so it's going to be tricky, but he has to privately say, I don't want to go to Chicago, because that will give them a little hesitation. But they know that their jobs are on the line, so they're going to do whatever they can to get them.
I think for Carson Wentz, man, looking at all three teams, Philadelphia, Indianapolis, and Chicago, they're basically carbon copies of what he's doing in Philadelphia. I don't think the offenses that the offense has changed that much if he chooses to go to Chicago or Indianapolis. But as far as looking at the Colts, I believe that is the best option for him. Looking at the offense and what Phillip Rivers was able to accomplish last season. Listen, Carson Wentz is not – they're not going to lean on him to get out of the pocket and make plays with his legs, which he has been able to do over the past couple of years. He's been injury prone. But it's more of a pocket-style offense for him, and I believe that's the best option that fits his skill set. For him to go to Chicago Bears and Matt Nagy and John DeFilippo, I think is the offensive coordinator who was the wide receiver assistant coach with me in New York when we won the World Championship. He's a great offensive mind. Then he went to Cleveland. But I think that for Carson Wentz, the best option for him is to go get reunited with his offensive coordinator, and it's the best fit for him. For him to go to Chicago, I just honestly believe that it's a bad situation getting worse.
Yeah, I think the best fit for him is certainly to go with a coach that he has a rapport with, that he's familiar with. That always matters. It's interesting. I don't know how many times you guys have had to deal with this, but it came up when Marty – shouts out to Marty Schottenheimer and the Schottenheimer family. When he passed away, this came up, and it was brought to my recollection during my career is I was always dealing with a new coach, fellas. It's like my first year there, I'm dealing with an interim head coach by mid-season. I'm dealing with a new coach by my second season. I'm dealing with a new coach by my third season. I had three coaches. I had four coaches in 3 years of playing at the pro level. In the first 3 years of my career,
Who was your favorite one?
Marty was my favorite. He was hands down my favorite. Everything would have my trajectory was different that was when I made my first Pro Bowl. That was my first All-Pro bid. That was my best season campaign that I had up to that point, which was only my second season. I carried that momentum and made 2 more Pro Bowls and got some second teams on All-Pro. But my trajectory changed. My ability to achieve changed based off of the environment that was created by Marty and his coaching staff. And then he was gone. He was fired. So the reason why I bring that point up is no matter what happens right now, unless Carson Wentz ends up in Indianapolis, he's going to have to deal with a new head coach. Here's what happens when you get a new coaching staff that comes in. Everybody wants to come in. They want to make their presence known. They want to make sure that they understand that it's going to be how I want it, my way, and the way that my coaching staff does
LaVar, we know for quarterbacks,
it's different. But is it really different?
Yes, it's different. You know it's different.
But is it different with more pressure? Because to me, the pressure of your job is going to hinge from who you have playing at the quarterback position. So even though it may be different in terms of how the tone of what a coach may be to different position grouping, you're still talking about the most pressure of what a coaching change is going to create is going to go directly at the quarterback position, right?
But the success of the team will come down to how well that quarterback plays. And so first, as soon as they get a job, they're calling a quarterback. And he's had success with Frank Wright. And he hadn't had that type of success since Frank Wright left. And so that's why he wants to go to Indy. And the holdup is Indy knows he wants to go to Indy. Indy knows they need a starting left tackle. Indy isn't willing to part with their first-round pick. We're going to stall you out. We know he doesn't want to be in Philly. We know he doesn't want to go to Chicago. We're going to stall you out. You're going to take what we offer you. Send him to Chicago. Coaches will get fired. We'll get him the next year if we don't draft the quarterback. And so there's so many variables that are going on here that regardless of who's the coach, they're going to tailor things to the quarterback as they should. New head coach, who's the first person he calls on the team? He's not calling Plaxico, LaVar, or TJ. He's calling the QB.
It sounds good, but to me, go ahead.
TJ, you got to remember that LaVar's a defensive guy. He doesn't understand.
I'm a head coach. You got to keep in mind I'm a head coach now, though.
Defensive guys don't understand.
I played offense.
Quarterback.
I got parade player of the year as a running back.
You got parade player of the year.
As a running back.
Hey, we were all great. I was a parade. I
know you was a
coming out of high school.
Well, hey. I was a zero-star recruit coming out of high school, so I can't relate to all the accolades you big fellas get.
All I'm saying is don't y'all try to diminish my ability to talk about the offensive side of the ball because I played defense in college and in the pros. Y'all will not disrespect me like that.
Nobody's disrespecting your 40 skills, running away from the pit bull, running to people's houses, jumping on top of cars.
Public housing running.
But for Carson Wentz, it's all about familiarity. If he can get back with Frank Wright, I think that's the best option for him, for no doubt about it. I think Matt Nagy's probably going to be out of Chicago. If he doesn't win this year, he's definitely out of there. And then he's back to square one as far as being able to run an offense, to be able to have a rapport with the offensive coordinator. And in my first 5 years in Pittsburgh, there was a lot of instability as far as offensive coordinators and quarterbacks. In my first 5 years in Pittsburgh, I had Kevin Gilbride, Ken Wisenhunt, Mike Mularkey, and in just 5 years, 3 different offensive coordinators.
Man, Mularkey was low-key a good offensive coordinator too.
Look, and then as far as me being a wide receiver and trying to gel with my quarterback and have a rapport with him, I went through 4 starting quarterbacks in 5 years: Kent Graham, Cordell Stewart, Tommy Maddox, and then Ben.
We did that in one season, bro. But go ahead.
But
we did 4 different quarterbacks in like one season, man.
Well, we are talking about Washington.
Yeah.
So, those things are kind of expected at the quarterback.
It's par for the course, huh?
Yeah.
Right. So
way to have fun on my expense.
But getting back to it, for Carson Wentz, I think for him to go out and have some immediate success instead of going to a place where he doesn't know the offense or understand it at all, is to get back with his guy Frank Wright so he can get all these people out of his ear of how bad he's been.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
and
think
he's been bad.
Well,
And he has been bad. He's turned the ball over. He hasn't played well. There could be a lot of elements as to why he has played so poorly. But, one thing that I'll introduce before we wrap this one up, and speaking of wrapping up, we're going to wrap up this segment pretty soon as well. I would offer this. In having the familiarity of Coach Reich and going there, I still think that it brings into play a lot of uncertainties that could lead to a disruptive type of situation. And the reason why I say that is for the very reasons that we're saying it would make sense for him to go there and be a part of that team and that organization because of his familiarity and the belief of the head coach that used to coach him and coached him at his highest moment, is going to now have the pressure of delivering because he brought in this player that he had so much success with in Philadelphia. It's going to be so much pressure on Carson Wentz to have to be able to do well immediately right out of the gate. And we all know, I don't know how we gotten so far removed from understanding the level of familiarity and continuity as it applies to players. Now, what took place in Tampa Bay, I get it. All right, first-year quarterback, he gets in. It's a COVID year. It redefines how we're supposed to look at immediately winning. But there's something to be said about learning your team, getting that timing down, getting the continuity of it down, and going from there. I think a lot of those things could play against a guy like Carson Wentz, and it could backfire on the coach. And now the coach his job is on the line based upon making this decision.
No way. No
Why not?
way.
Why not?
If Carson Wentz doesn't play well, you know what they're going to say? He's finished.
Yeah, he's Carson Wentz.
He's finished. He hasn't played well in a couple years. Frank Wright couldn't save him. That's what they're going to say. They're not. Frank Wright will not be on the job. They'll say Carson Wentz is finished. What happened in Philadelphia, he's not able to overcome, blah, 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 blah. Let's go get another quarterback. If he plays well, and he doesn't have to have immediate success, he just needs to show progress. And if he plays well, they'll say, oh, wow, him and Frank Wright have this connection. This is where he needed to be all along. They just have this chemistry that, other people don't have. And so for me, for the Colts, it's a win-win if he does not play well. But it's hard to believe they have a run game, that offensive line, that defense. You play Jacksonville, probably a rookie quarterback. You play the Houston Texans twice in your division. Deshaun Watson may or may not be there. In essence, you can probably count on 4 wins right there. And so the hardest team you're going to play in your division, the toughest team, would be the Tennessee Titans. And so right off the bat, you got 4 wins. There you go.